What's good, Elevators? It's your boy Elevation here with another episode of the JBP Elevated, where we speak on the Joe Budden podcast and all of his co-hosts on and off the pod. It's not very often that I start off my shows giving the entire crew props. Today's episode was a great episode, and not great because anything standoffish happened. Not great in terms of anything going viral, or although I'm sure something that they said amongst their Diddy Doc, dissertation, will get a viral clip. I'm just talking about in means of cohesion, in means of a free-flowing pod from everyone. Mona clearly had to sit down with Joe and Parks. I don't want to gloss over that, so I'll speak on it right now. Parks and Mona, quote unquote, bonding. Joe is poking fun at it, but every time Joe pokes fun at something, it's him noticing something. Mona and Parks bonding outside of the pod is a big deal. And I already saw the results of it on the pod. She is taking direction. She's getting better. She's asking what she has to do to get better. I know the conversation was about how New Jersey drivers are the worst at driving. But what are y'all having that conversation for? Y'all don't hang out. Mona lets it be known that I work with y'all niggas. Y'all niggas is cool, but I'm not doing anything with y'all outside of this. And shout out to Joe. Notice how Joe has cut back on talking shit about everybody's outside ventures. And I'm sure I'll break that down in another video, but I have been paying attention to it. He's been giving Ish credit for his Ish University line that he started. I see that he's staying on top of current trends. He's got the quarter zip going right now. I'm sure whenever the pants trend comes up, he'll have some type of a pant or a jogger that he can put with the outfit. Ish is doing his thing. Shout out to Mona. Joe has been mentioning all of her comedy performances, regardless of where they're at. He's clowning on the location, but it's a start. Shout out to everybody for showing up, giving their best on all the topics today. Mona was not over talking the guys. She was, in fact, letting them get their shit off. She wasn't even trying to interject that nearly as much. Of course, it's not going to happen overnight, but you can tell that they gave her pointers, and she's following these pointers. These are the type of episodes that Flip needs to be concerned about, because I still don't think Flip's going to get fired. Even if this is the actual demotion, him just being on one episode as opposed to all of them, it's not a big deal, and I hope Flip is paying attention. Mark is not on all the episodes, even though he's talking shit about you not being on all the episodes. And it's clear as day that Mona's not on all the episodes either. So as much of an impact that she's putting on, she's not canceling your days. I think Joe got a good rhythm going by having everybody with the energy be on their own separate pods. Of course, if y'all ever get along behind the scenes, that would be a dynamic duo on the JBN. But seeing how y'all are moving with the outside ventures, of course Joe is going to put his foot down when it comes to that. But I don't think it's that big of a deal as of yet. But shout out to Mona. I really don't even want to talk shit about them this particular episode, because everybody's saying, do I even like the JBP at all? So let me give all the guys credit. I ran the episode back a couple of times. I did want to pick out, notice how Ice is the receiver of all the jokes. I saw a comment on the Patreon saying, is Ice the new Mel? Did they replace Mel with Ice? They have somebody else to dogpile on, because they try to do it with Ish, but then that's when he checks out, and it's not good for the pod, whether it's visual or audio. Ice, at least he'll take the barbs, even though he's shutting down too. And speaking of shut down, this deserves its own video, but I want to kind of go over it right now. Ice did not let Mark get those kids jokes off. I said, I have one biological child. I can't have favorites as a direct result of that. Not trying to tie in that he is the quote-unquote father of the 3 stepkids that he's now residing with. And Mark was trying to poke fun at that, and Ice let him know, hey, nigga, if you cross that line, ain't no turning around. And Ice gets mad a lot like that, to the point where they poke fun at him for being an inside nigga and never stepping outside. But the way he gets upset, it seems like they've seen him in his outside mode and they try to stay away from it. Because Flip gets mad at Mark just like that, and Mark continues to throw shots in his direction. Notice when Mark was about to take it over that line with the kids, and I said, nigga, no, I have boundaries. Mark went right back to his side. So I don't know if that's a lesson for Flip to take, that you have to set boundaries as opposed to firing shots at everybody and then getting pissed off when they fire in your direction. No, nigga, they're just going to volley shots with you just like you're doing to them. Ice, on the other hand, as much as he gets in on jokes, because he's quick to interpret where the joke is going, the inside joke and the underlying meaning behind this shit, so he'll chime in on it, but you never really see Ice being the leader of the jokes. So there is a difference with how Flip approaches it and how Ice approaches it. So maybe I'll give Mark some leeway on that, but I don't know. That was a sight to see, and they all backed off too. And I want y'all, Ish has a telltale sign when he thinks Ice is full of shit. I want y'all to start paying attention to the faces that Ish makes whenever Ice is telling his stories or going off on a soliloquy. But I mainly wanted to make this episode to give Mona her props. Shout out to Mona, because I've been coming down hard on you. I know you've been reading the comments. I know it's funny how often people will say they don't read the comments, but then will know every single critique about them said in the comments. So at least Mona's looking at it as constructive criticism as opposed to getting worse or doubling down on it like people tend to do when they understand the criticisms aimed in their direction, but they don't want, or they don't like the messenger or who they received it from. So salute to her for that. Salute to Joe. We never give, or I never give Joe props in this hunt. As often as we see podcasts fail and you see money being brought up as to why, or it being the main culprit as to why, I think it's dope that Joe is continuing to hire more and more and more and more people, because the one thing you haven't heard said yet about Joe, and he's had a lot of money issues, quote unquote, tied to him from other people. One thing you haven't heard any of them say yet was that he's underpaying them, or he didn't pay them at all, or he didn't pay them properly. No one's leaving Joe and saying that. They're just saying, maybe my podcast didn't thrive under his network. Maybe we weren't a good fit as far as our ideologies, but as far as him actually paying me and my worth and me realizing what we can get in this podcast land, you can't say that about Joe. And I know that's a fact because everyone that's left Joe that was under Joe is still trying to podcast or still podcasting. So shout out to him for being able to provide a mostly black, and I can't say black funded, but mostly black operated entity. It's a big deal, and we don't speak enough on it. So y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. Like the video if you like the video. Subscribe to the page if you haven't. If you have, you already know how we rocking. Of course, there's a video up on Patreon. And hey, I don't know what the heck is going on with Patreon, but I salute y'all. My impressions have gone up tremendously. I'm getting impressions that I normally get on YouTube videos on Patreon now. So I don't know if they're starting to push my channel because y'all been so consistent or what. But let's keep that going. And I'll see y'all a little later. Peace.